Hello, welcome back to Miner Network. I'm with Terry Lynch again, the President and CEO of Power Nickel. Terry, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Obviously, it's been about, 6 months since we've had a catch up.
It has
before we go into all of the splashy results that you've had since then, just remind people who are Power Nickel, where you're based, and then maybe can you just lead into the cap structure as well?
Sure. Yeah, so we're Power Nickel. Generally, I would say we're known for our NISK nickel PGM exploration play in Namaska, Quebec. We're based in Toronto. Our share structure, about 129 million shares outstanding, fully diluted about 180, and just finished a round of raised 4.8 million about 6 weeks ago, at 50 cents a unit, and stocks around, mid 24s or something like that. That was because it was flow through, so it was actually charity flow through, so buybacks, so it was really good. But yeah, that's what we're doing.
Good, okay. Part of the perks, obviously, of being in Quebec or Canada, we've got the flow through there, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing when you think of the benefits you get. Just to summarize for the viewers, it's quite interesting. When we announced the deal, the stock was 28 cents, and we raised the money at 50 cents. The company got 50 cents to work with. The Quebec investors basically put the money in at 50, sold it the next second to my end-use investors for 25 cents. And, so now we have long-term investors that are in the stock at 25. The Quebec investor basically saw their tax rate go from 54% to 42%, so they're happy. The government gets $4.8 million put into critical minerals, so that's its public policy objective, so they're happy. And of course my investors are happy because it's like they put a quarter in and they got 50 cents working for them to de-risk an investment they like. So that's why working in Quebec is so amazing, amongst many other reasons, but that's definitely one of the big ones.
Obviously, since we last caught up, just remind us what's happened since then, because obviously there's a reason why you've done that financing.
So we basically drilled almost, I guess, close to 15,000 meters of drilling over the last little bit. And we've had, I think, 6 assay releases, each one almost better than the next. So we've had some spectacularly great holes. One was 40 meters of 1.6%, followed that up by 10 meters of almost 3% nickel EQ, followed by 16 meters of 1.6, 14 minutes, so it keeps on going.
Yeah.
So we've had a very robust response with our ore bodies. So we're giving guidance. We're saying, look, we had 3.1 million tons of historical resource when we acquired it, and we expect we'll be updating our 43-101 by the end of Q3, and we think we'll be containing more than 100,000 tons of contained nickel at that point. So it'll be like 8 million tons and maybe 1.5% or better. So that will make us commercial. So we believe this is going to be a commercial mine. The question of is how big is it going to be, and we think it's going to be very big.
Well, it's a bit different as well, isn't it? Because it's high grade nickel, and then you've obviously got some pretty good grade copper, cobalt, PGMs in there as well.
Yep.
But from memory, this is more of a pod system, isn't it? So it's very high grade pod, but the next steps aren't just obviously growing this particular pod, but it's actually the expansion potential and the regional potential of building out this license.
Yeah, absolutely right. So every single nickel sulphide mine in the history of time has always been multiple pods. So we've got one pod that's looks like it's going to make us commercial, but it's like highly unlikely that'll be the only one.
Yeah.
So we already know, because we did a step out 5 kilometers on strike from in the ultramafic sequence, where we saw exposed ultramafic at surface. And there we drilled down, and at 60 meters, we hit 8 meters of 1 ounce PGMs. I mean, that's a bonanza hole, and clearly everyone was smiling that day. But and when you get those types of holes, it's indicative of what happened at Raglan and what happened at Norilsk. What happens on these nickel sulfide projects, these massive ones that are really big events, they'll get pooling of the PGMs up top, with big kickers like that. So that's super exciting for us. And then we follow that up by doing an airborne EM over that project, and it lit up. And so, yeah, we're thinking we're pretty stoked about what we see exploration-wise in front of us and what we've already gotten.
And what does the exploration model look like now? So obviously you've done a lot of the NISK drilling already. The assays are all out. You know what you have there. The new resources to be expected.
Yeah.
Is the new strategy now with this new financing to explore more regionally, or are you still focusing on?
No, we're looking at exploring more regionally. So we've identified a couple of would-be pods. So we'll be looking to follow them up. You're using in addition to using the airborne EM, which is highly effective for It's basically a tool to identify magnetic bodies to 150 meters. And if you can do this in an area where there's not graphite, it's a very reliable indicator. So we've got that lighting up is a very good sign. So we had like a light red over our core deposit, which we already know is great. We've got some purples. Okay. Purples is where you want to go with that thing. So that's pretty exciting. So that's good. But we're also doing something new. There's a new tool in the exploration shed. The Aussies invented it. It's a company called Fleet Space Technologies, and it's called ambient noise tomography, ANT for short. And what it is they put these little silver diodes, like stainless steel looking things, and they press it into the earth. It sends a sound pulse down 2,000 meters, comes back, and is captured as a sound map. So for example, where we had that 40-meter hole of 1.6%, that correlates to a very specific spot in the earth where we know the coordinates on it because we drilled it, and that coordinates with a sound map at that spot. So that sound map will have a signature, that's a massive sulphide. So you start to look for other signatures like that throughout your database that this information collects, and all of a sudden that really high grades your exploration potential. So that group just raised another Series B round, I think around $75 million. I believe Rio Tinto led it. So I mean, it's been super successful. We think it'll be highly effective for us, and we're deploying that next week at Damascus.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah.
Okay. And so how long does this campaign go on for? So what are the steps in terms of when the exploration work is going to be happening?
So you do a grid-like pattern about 100 meters apart with these geodes, and then, you know, because we have 45 square kilometers to do it in, it'll take probably 3 months to do the whole thing.
Yep.
But we start getting results back within a week, because it's actually linked wirelessly and uplinked to satellites. So we get that in real time, and we start to. So you model it first over your core deposit, because you already know what the science is there.
Exactly.
So you correlate that, then you start to see, hey, did we miss a couple of turns? Maybe you did. Maybe you can add a couple of cheap million tons there. Let's do that. But then we also have these signatures. We can start to look for it along the ultramafic sequence first, and then across the rest of the ore body. So probably be doing that for about 3 months. But we'll start drilling in mid-July based on that intel, and we'll be drilling from now until the end of the year.
Brilliant. Okay. Walk us through the next 12 months. Obviously, you've just indicated there that obviously there's a lot of exploration work, early stage work, and then obviously following up with the drill bit. In an ideal scenario, where will we be sitting this time next year? Yeah,
so we think we'll be sitting on probably a full-blown feasibility study.
Good.
So we've got a major that's working with us right now that we expect that'll lead to something shortly. The next money that comes in will be strategic, and we'll be using that to develop a full feasibility on NISK and show that this is going to become a mine. The question is just how big is it going to be? That's what we're trying to prove out with the exploration. Yeah. But the other part of it is how profitable will it be, and that's what the neat part about having a high-grade nickel sulfide mine is. It's a lot easier to go to the nickel powders, nickel wire, nickel anodes, and that's really where the money is. That's what the battery guys need, and it's much higher value. So where you spend $250 million, you can make nickel sulfate like every other nickel guy, and compete with that space and get LME pricing. Or you spend another $150 million, you move into nickel powders, nickel wires, you're getting 3 times pricing.
Okay.
Transforms your economics, so it's way better, and it's also way more environmentally friendly.
Good, so you're thinking ahead quite far already.
We are.
Yeah, good. Terry, thanks for the update.
Great to be here. Cheers.
Cheers.